In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the mind of Tyson Fury. We're specifically going to discuss his struggles with depression, what he's done to overcome it, and what the science tells us. So if you're someone who struggles with depression, or you'd simply like to stay happy and healthy, then stick around because we're going to go through a ton of great information. And as this video did take tons of hours to prep, write, film, and edit, I would greatly appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. It helps with the YouTube algorithm so that we can get this video out there to people who may really need it. All right, so let's do this. Now, for anyone who's unfamiliar with Tyson, aka the Gypsy King, he's an undefeated British world champion heavyweight boxer, having held all of the 5 major titles in boxing, including the lineal heavyweight title at some point of his career. That said, with all of his success, becoming a world champion, making millions, buying a big house, buying expensive cars, he still wasn't happy. In fact, Tyson had been struggling with mental health his entire life.
Growing up as a child, I'd feel a loneliness even when I was with other people.
Here's Tyson again talking about those struggles in an interview from 2018.
I've had suicidal thoughts since around about 2012. I've had bouts of depression, but never as severe as until 12. And then I started thinking about death and thinking about wanting to die and killing myself and how I'd do it.
And those challenges began to come to a head before his fight with Vladimir Klitschko in 2015. He goes into the fight a heavy underdog, fighting in Germany where Klitschko had built his career and had a massive following. And lo and behold, he won. He was on top of the world, or at least we so thought.
And it wasn't until after the Klitschko fight, a very massive high, then I had to have a even worse low, lowest low that anyone could ever have. I'd wake up and I think, why did I wake up this morning? This is coming from a man who had everything: money, fame, glory, titles, a wife, a family, kids, everything. But I felt as if I had nothing. I felt there was an empty, gaping hole.
In fact, it was such a quick rebound and fall into depression that the rematch between Tyson and Klitschko had to be called off because Tyson had been declared medically unfit. Here's a clip of them doing a face-to-face interview just before that rematch was supposed to take place.
Gospel truth, I'm not joking.
I know you're not.
Right. I can wake up in the morning, everything's fine. The afternoon I could commit suicide.
This, in fact, did get a lot worse because Tyson did almost commit suicide.
I was in my car. I bought a brand new Ferrari convertible in the summer of 2016, and I was on the highway. And there's a strip of the highway where I am, and at the bottom of about a 5-mile strip, there's a massive bridge that crosses the motorway. And I knew that, and I got the car up to 190 miles an hour. I was heading towards that bridge, and I didn't care what no one was thinking. I didn't care about hurting my family, me career, people who friends, anybody. I didn't care. And just as I was heading towards that bridge at 190 in this Ferrari, I heard a voice say, "No. Don't do this, Tyson. Think about your kids. Think about your family and your little boys and girls growing up with no father." And before I turned into the bridge, I pulled on the motor and I was shaking. I didn't know what to do. I was frightened and I was so afraid. And I thought, that day, I'll never, ever, ever try or think about taking my own life ever again.
And this is where we're going to take a look into the protocol that he follows and also into what the science tells us. So, protocol number 1.
I think the way to beat mental health is setting goals, giving yourself short-term and long-term goals. And that's what I did.
This one may come as a shock to a lot of people because it just seems so simple, but there's a lot of evidence behind it. In a 2016 study done by the University of Utrecht in the Netherlands, researchers investigated the relationship between different types of positive future goals or positive future thinking and the severity of depression. Now, positive future thinking is defined as having positive thoughts about the future, which is generally impaired in people that have major depressive disorder. So researchers took 195 outpatients with major depressive disorder and had them come up with positive future goals. And they also completed an IDS-SR depression questionnaire. Rather than getting too detailed about what this test is, it's a clinically proven self-report test for depression. Now, after 4 to 6 months of continued treatment, the participants once again took the IDS-SR test. What they found was that different types of positive future goals led to different levels of depression. Patients with high levels of positive future goals that were focused on work or education, meaning they wanted to accomplish something in their lives, ended up having lower scores on the depression scale, meaning it improved their depression. On the other hand, patients with high levels of positive future goals that were focused on feeling better, as in wanting to be less depressed, ended up having higher scores on the depression scale, meaning that their depression got worse. So it's easy to see here why making career-oriented goals made such a big impact on Tyson. Rather than him focusing on wanting to feel better and get out of his depression, he had focused all of his attention on the small goals that would ultimately lead him to becoming the heavyweight champion in boxing once again. Now moving on to protocol number 2.
The training is my medicine. I used to think all along it was boxing, but it's not. It's keeping fit. If I have a week off out at the gym, I'm severely depressed and I don't want to live anymore.
So exercise, or as Tyson put it, training. Now, a lot of people know that exercising can help boost our self-confidence and self-esteem, but most people don't see it as a tool for mental health. The mind and body connection is real, and we've continued to learn about it more and more as time has gone on. Here's a clip of Dr. Drew Ramsey, an assistant clinical professor of psychology at Columbia University, discussing a study from Norway that analyzed 33,000 test subjects.
And then they measured individuals' exercise habits and found that even exercise at about 1.5 times a week had a significant effect in preventing depression. They estimated that compared to individuals who did not exercise, individuals exercising an hour or more a week had a 44% decreased odds ratio of getting depressed.
So just as Tyson put it, exercise has a massive impact on depression and on our overall mental health. And the wonderful thing that you'll notice as we go on is that there's a bit of an entourage effect with all of these protocols. What this means is that multiple things combined together can help a depressed person much more rather than them just doing one thing. Now, moving on to protocol number 3.
And the biggest thing we're missing here is I didn't do it with doctors and all them type of things. I done it with something way more powerful. God.
So your faith and your belief.
Me faith and belief that God would make me better made me better.
Now, this one is a bit of a sensitive topic, but the point of this video is to go through everything that Tyson said helped him through depression. Whether you believe in the same things that Tyson believes in or not, like I personally don't, we still have to be aware that faith does make an impact. There was a study published in the Journal for Women in Health in 2005 that examined the connection between religion and mental health. What researchers did was take 131 rural, low-income mothers from multiple states and put them through 2 measures of both religious belief and faith community involvement. And they also tested their depression levels via the CES-D. So as with the other study that we discussed, the CES-D is a self-report test that participants fill out and then they're graded on. And just like with the other study, the CES-D follows the standards set by the American Psychiatric Association. And what this study found was that both religious beliefs and faith community involvement helped to decrease depressive symptoms. Now, that being said, I'm sure there's going to be people out there who disagree with that statement because there have been studies out there that have ultimately shown the opposite. But at the end of the day, this should be up to the individual. If it works for you, then great. If not, no worries, because there are other things that you can utilize to help avoid and ultimately overcome depression. Moving on, protocol number 4.
You can do it, you know. You just got to think of the positive things that you have in your life. Positive things meaning being able to walk, breathe in fresh air.
This is one that most of us understand. If we think positive, then our outlook on life will be positive. But what does the science say? A 2014 study published in the British Journal of Health Psychology tested this idea on 109 participants with Parkinson's disease. The participants completed questionnaires to assess their illness perception, or in other words, how they viewed the disease. And researchers also assessed their optimism, mood, and health-related quality of life. And what they found was that having positive illness perceptions led to a greater well-being. And optimism was also shown to lead to better mood and to better quality of life. So thinking positive is a great way to fight against depression. Protocol number 5.
I have this effect. It's called the whoop whoop effect.
The which?
Whoop whoop effect.
Whoop, whoop, okay.
So every time you feel a little bit sad, you got to say this. You got to say whoop whoop 3 times, very loud. And then if you ain't smiling after that,
I'm smiling already.
there you go.
So ultimately what Tyson is referring to here is laughter. A study from 2011 published in the Journal of Geriatrics and Gerontology International investigated the effects of laughter therapy on depression, cognitive function, quality of life, and sleep for the elderly within a community. It consisted of 109 participants over 65 who were placed into 2 groups. 48 went to the laughter therapy group and 61 went to the control group. The participants in the laughter therapy group went through laughter therapy 4 times over 1 month. Both groups were scored on multiple different surveys before and after the laughter therapy. And what the results found was that those in the laughter therapy group ended up decreasing their depression and insomnia scores, and they increased their sleep quality scores. So don't forget to smile and laugh. Protocol number 6.
And I plan things more now, where if I'm just not got anything on the horizon, I tend to wander and my mind goes AWOL. It doesn't have to be big things. It can be small, tiny goals, what mean something to you as a person, as an individual. Then that's what you need to do.
So planning and staying busy. Now, there's something I want you to understand, and it's called the default mode network. What this is a network of brain regions that are active when you're not interacting with the world. You're not doing anything physical, but rather just sitting there. And this network leads to thinking about ourselves, thinking about other people, about the past, and about the future. So now that you understand this, here's a clip of Marcus Rakel. He's a neurologist at the Washington University of Medicine in St. Louis. And he explains this connection between the default mode network and depression.
One of the things that people with depression have difficulty doing is to suppress depressive thoughts. And, what are depressive thoughts? Well, they're thoughts about yourself. They're kind of self-referential thinking. I mean, if you think about the default mode network and the fact that it has to do with self-referential thinking, one of the things that we do then routinely is when we engage in various tasks that don't have a particular self-referential nature, we tend to suppress these areas. And people have often used the phrase, you lose yourself in your work. So that if you engage in work and you become very focused on something, you tend to forget yourself. Well, this probably is healthy in some ways.
So essentially, if you have too much to do, then that's not going to leave much time for you to sit and ruminate with negative thoughts. Moving on to protocol number 7.
So I believe if you are on your own a lot, then you've got time to think and you've got time to go over your problems and think about it and dwell on them. And it's not good. I don't think people who suffer with mental health should be alone all the time. I think they should have regular interaction with other human beings.
So this one pretty much goes along with the last protocol. Spend more time with people so that you're not stuck in your head. Here's a clip of a TEDx event where Dr. Emma Seppala, an associate director at Stanford University, explains this importance.
What the data is showing is that people with low social connection have more anxiety, depression, it's been linked to suicide, and also to violence. It impacts us even at the cellular level where we find greater inflammation for people who are very lonely. On the other hand, when social connection is present, a healthy level of social connection predicts greater psychological well-being, better physical health, increased immunity, faster recovery from disease, and even longevity. So if you're highly socially connected, you have a 50% increased chance of longevity.
We as humans are meant to live amongst one another, to spend time with one another, to build relationships, friendships, and to work with one another. So it's extremely beneficial to get out there and spend time with family, friends, meet new people, especially when it comes to depression. Moving on to protocol number 8. Now, this one is a little bit different because Tyson doesn't specifically say that it helped him to beat depression, but it absolutely has. Listen to this.
Well, I think I've now found my calling card. Boxing's one thing in a career, but all careers end. Along the way, I'm going to spread the word of mental health throughout the world. Millions of people watch Heavyweight Champion of the World. Maybe that's why I'm in this position as the Heavyweight Champion of the World, to spread this.
Tyson has a life purpose now. It's not just about boxing, it's about something bigger. It's about mental health. He's going to be able to use this life purpose once his career is over. So what does the science say? Well, there's an interesting meta-analysis from 2002 published in a journal called Aging International. Researchers reviewed findings from 70 different studies in order to determine the effect that life purpose has on aging, particularly for those in middle or old age. Now, what they found was that there does tend to be a decline in life purpose as folks get older, but those who are able to maintain a life purpose showed greater social integration, meaning better relationships. It was also linked to better health, higher everyday competence, higher socioeconomic levels, higher employment levels, and higher levels of marriage. Additionally, they found that life purpose was strongly associated with psychological well-being and lower levels of depressive symptoms. This is huge, and it's likely why there's been such a big push to finding your purpose in the last couple of years. Now, how you find your life purpose is another story altogether, but there's a ton of great resources out there to help with that. And finally, we're going to go over protocol number 9. Now, this one, just like the last, Tyson doesn't specifically mention that it helped him beat depression. In fact, from all of my research, he never actually talks about it, but you can see that he clearly uses it all the time. What I'm talking about here is a mix of positive affirmations and visualization. These are things that I've spoken about in previous videos, but I'll give you a quick overview. Positive affirmations are positive statements that you repeat to yourself or even to others over and over and over again to help affect your mental state and push you in a positive sort of direction. Like, for example, I am a strong person. And visualization is the process of imagining yourself accomplishing your goals. That being said, here's some examples of Tyson using these throughout his career.
I'm going to the top of the world, the heavyweight champion of the world. I said it from being about 5. Nothing's stopping me.
I'm a no-nonsense heavyweight. I'm quite fast, I've got good movement, I've got power.
I do believe it was my destiny to become a champion boxer.
And I hope America's ready for the furious one in Tyson Fury, because I'm coming and I'm going to be big, strong and athletic and ready for a fight.
Fit, motivated Tyson Fury is probably the most dangerous fighter on the planet.
Have you watched any of his fights?
I don't need to, because he's going to come forward swinging them big punches. I'm going to slip, bang, bang, he's going to go down like a big oak tree.
I'm not lying, I'm not just doing it for the cameras or whatever. I know deep in my heart you can't beat me. I know no one can. I'll retire unbeaten heavyweight champion of the world. I told everybody I was going to knock him out. Nobody listened. Here we are. I knocked out a knockout king.
It's clear that Tyson has been using this for a long time. That first clip was from when he was 18 years old. But has he always been like this? Likely not, because he has mentioned in previous interviews that he grew up very shy and lacked confidence, which this means that it was a learned behavior. And the wonderful thing about that is that any of us can start to use positive affirmations and visualization in order to not only grow more confident, but also to help keep a healthy mind and fight things like depression. Here's a clip of Steve Maxwell being interviewed on London Real. For those unfamiliar with him, he's a world-renowned fitness coach, Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor, and was named one of the top 100 best trainers in the US by Men's Journal.
So if I do find myself dwelling on some type of negative situation, I'll make positive counter affirmations and keep my mind focused on only the good.
Can you share a couple affirmations that you hit yourself with in the morning, or if something hits you? Because
today I will see only the good. Only good comes to me, only good comes for me. Today I will focus only in beauty and grace.
It's easy to see how powerful positive affirmations and visualization can be in the fight against depression. It counteracts those negative thoughts that are a symptom of depression. And one final thing I'd like to mention before we finish this video is something called the self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a psychological phenomenon where someone predicts that something will happen in the future, and then from their sheer belief and will to make it happen, it becomes true. So in Tyson's case, he knew that he would become the heavyweight boxing champion of the world, and he did. It took years of hard work, but that belief in himself helped propel him toward that goal. And that's something that we can all apply into our lives. So to summarize Tyson's protocol for fighting depression, it includes goal setting, exercise, faith, positive thinking, laughter, planning and staying busy, spending time with others, life purpose, and positive affirmations / visualization. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button and subscribe. If you know someone who may be dealing with depression, please share this video with them. Let's get this out to as many people as we can so that we can all do our part in order to help those that are dealing with depression. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and I'll leave you with this.
Well, I know.
And for all those people out there who are suffering, I want you to know that every day for 2 years was very grey and dark for me. But it will come back great again. You will have sunshine days again, rose-coloured days warmed by the sun.
Improve your body, improve your mind, improve the world.